Great. So we'll talk a little something different today. We're going to go into the world of business. And so one thing that I wanted to sort of say about sort of giving this talk, I've never had to do something speaking in 15 seconds. So I thought, if you're going to make rules, I'm going to make rules. So I'm not going to provide any headlines or subtext. You're going to have to, go along with me as we go. And also, if I mess up, you won't know. So what do? 50% of my time I usually spend at work. I do strategy. I work for Nokia on some €100 devices. About 40% of my time I spent with my son Kai. This is self-portrait. And about 10% I get to do my own stuff, which is where I'm wearing the other hat. So we're going to go through today 5 acts, and we're going to talk about creative destruction. We're going to talk about the mobile industry and how it's basically eating itself from the inside. So let's sort of talk about how this all started. So I guess February 2011, our CEO said, hey, we've got a problem with Nokia. We're on a burning platform, so we either need to change or we're going to perish. And everybody's thinking, well, where are we going to go with this? My question was, how do we get here? So let's start with Act 1. Does anybody recognize this picture? You should all know it. This is an RF patent for early wireless. And why is this important? We sort of forget that there's a whole magic of wireless. That again, when you're on your phone, you're talking to cell towers a long way. And if we didn't have all this great art in Act 1, we'd all have chronic back problems because we'd be running around carrying phones like this, which is what originally the first mobile phones were. So let's see what happens in Act 2. This is great, but again, we need to make this in lots. There's now 6 billion people that have cell phones today. And this is due for the ability to sort of make this in mass scale, which made it, again, we had technology innovations, we brought costs down, but it also created a lot of variety. And this is just sort of, again, I wanted to bring the competitor map, I couldn't find it, too many files. But we had everything in terms of physical form. Different colors, clamshells, sliders, monoblocks, colors, metals, everything. So we explored every different type of possibility from the physical. But then we go to Act 3, which is multimedia, and you realize that these aren't really good platforms to put stuff together. This was from I think the Ukraine, someone tried to do that. But eventually, finally, someone started to get things right. We had a few bumps. There was the rocker iPhone, total disaster. There was the N-Gage, multi-billion-dollar disaster. But then we started to get some things doing. I think mobile photography is something that we can all enjoy and say that was sort of, again, new behaviors that we're talking. But what was really changing is when Apple came in, and they were the first company that sort of said, hey, we're going to take a real operating system, not designed for mobile, but designed to write apps. And they created the iPhone. And this actually was sort of the beginning of the self-destruction of industry. So when we think about Android and iPhone, what is it? It's about applications. That's what we do. That's what sort of, again, the new behaviors that we're getting to. And that's sort of, again, what I would like to talk to you a little bit about art. Now, what is art doing in a business presentation? Art is really important in business because it means I do something unique. I do something that nobody else can do, and that's why people will pay me more. And I'll give you an example. I worked in the printing industry. And if you look in the printing industry, and sort of, again, 10 to 15 years ago, this was an incredible art. Imagine trying to do 8 colors on manual plates and getting all these things to line up in microdots. Now I can go and get a digital loading Heidelberg press, and all that art, all this value that you have is gone. So where's the future value going to be? Because I know I can go to Shenzhen today, and for $10 I can buy the guts of a phone. And my feeling is it's going to be about behavior. It's going to be what is sticky about what people do, not necessarily about which type of device they're holding in hands. So let's take some examples. BlackBerry, email, was brilliant. Once people had it, they tried it, they loved it. And if they could have kept all the other phone manufacturers from getting email on the phone, it would have had a really great long run. Now it's not so great. Let's take Facebook. I mean, it's incredible how pervasive Facebook is. So I look in our business in emerging markets. If I look at traffic in Indonesia, 70% of all internet traffic is Facebook. This is the behaviors. It's not about iPhone or Android. Shopping, digital commerce. This is going to be a huge frontier of behavior. This is amazing. This is a subway tunnel where you can basically scan barcodes and do your shopping in between the trains. So these are sort of things that, again, will never be owned by, again, a single hardware manufacturer. And mapping, obviously, after looking at the iOS fiasco, we know it's a behavior that's really important to people. So I love this Burger King. I'm I'm sure it's really important for government or religion. But basically, just to sum it up, you know, the real future of competition is about behavior, and it's really about how do you take this amazing reference, all the stuff, all the knowledge that's out there, and make it accessible and usable to people. So think about this when you buy your stocks. It's going to be a very different game in the future. Thank you.